start by saying thanks to our guests because they are from across the pond from Europe, where I am based, and it's early morning for them, and they decided to join this stream. Happy New Year for those who first talk with this time, because it's the first episode of the Ledger this year. And we did close the 2024 with a bit of ceremonial show us, like we had special earrings and Christmassy stuff. I keep still my lights because it's a gray winter here in Berlin, and this is how we suppress depression. But I do hope you have a
I
great
always
start
thought
of the
I
year.
always thought the winter period in Berlin lasted until May. That's a lot of Christmas lights, Joanna.
Thanks for reminding me that I still have to struggle a bit. It was good how it lasted. I thought it's spring. Mentally, I'm looking towards spring. I saw yesterday the first snowdrops, like the small plants, gioce in Romanian, and I was like, "Whoa, spring is coming!" And after that, -2, and I was like, "Okay, fake news, like it's trending." This episode of Interledger's of the Ledger is about the tech writing team or tech writing efforts here at Interledger Foundation. It was a bit of debate how to call it, if it was writing the dots or on the right track, how it got nominated, or even writing the future. So I don't want to set your expectation really, really high for it, because I, for one, am very curious to see how the team works, how we prepare the documentation, especially because it's one of the things that works as close as with the community, providing information for them. As a small reminder for everybody, Of the Ledger is a series of video panels, informal discussions, as you can see, most of the times with some bad jokes around, but that's because I, Ioana Chirian, engineer manager here, and Alex Lakatos, CTO at Interledger, are the hosts for these ones. And sometimes we have bad jokes, yeah. We try to improve them a bit, but doesn't work like that much. And unfortunately, maybe I'll have, my performance review, I will have like, please upgrade your jokes, Ioana, because they're a bit off the track, not on the right track. But let's find out more about our guests. We have Melissa with us and Brad. Melissa is the senior tech writer within the Interledger Foundation and the tech lead for the writing team. And Brad is a senior tech writer, but he's the latest addition in our team. The team has another colleague of ours, Mohammed. We would have been too many on the screen. So I was thinking to get, like the tech lead, because she has the overview and everything. I do remember Alex mentioning that maybe we should do an episode with Melissa, because she prepared a really nice strategy doc. And I was like, Melissa would regret that. And Brad, because he was the newbie around, and see how new people on board with us. Hopefully, only good things, Brad, there, okay? Like, if we miss something in the onboarding, write me in private separately after, and we cover
Oh,
that up.
don't listen to Ioana. We value transparency here at Interledger. We value transparency here at Interledger, and we always welcome feedback. So if there is something we could improve with onboarding, spill the beans here live.
Yes, and it's also like spread it in our social media, so it's more than recorded. It's literally live stream everywhere. So go ahead, no worries. Because after that, Alex will be like, Ioana, please fix that, and I'll have a bit more work. But it's all good. Let's jump into the guest. Melissa, was this tech writing your first role, or you transitioned from a different side of technology or engineering?
It was a different side. So I was a internet tech support rep in a call center for, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years. And so I feel like that kind of naturally went into tech writing, because I had to figure out how the tech worked, and then I had to figure out how to fix it, and then I had to figure out how to tell the people I was speaking to how they should fix it, what they need to do. And to date myself a bit, I've spoken to numerous grandparents to help them fix their dial-up modems. So that's how long ago that was. But while I was still doing that, that's when I decided to go back to school to get out of the call center, and found tech writing that way.
And now you also find the issue, write how to change it, and also talk. So you do the whole roles more.
Yeah.
And you transitioned through that to your first, because I think you worked first with Coil. And for the audience, Coil is a former company that kind of put the first block of Interledger Foundation. We still have the founders coming from there, and a few of the employees that work at Coil join us in pushing the mission for Interledger Foundation. Was it the first tech writing job at Coil?
No, previously I worked for a large tech company that they bought other tech companies. And so the organization was huge, and there were multiple tech writers for multiple products across the US, at least, maybe across the world. And we all did everything differently. It was very hard to try and sync up things like look and style, and it just kind of, since they were separate products, it wasn't quite so important, but internally it was a large challenge. And I think I was there for a good 12 years, I think. Yeah. And that's where I met one of my coworkers that did go on to Coil, and he was the one who came to me later after he had left, and he's like, hey, we need a tech writer. So that's how I got into Coil.
And that was like 3 years ago, 4, 5? I don't know. A few.
End of 2019 is when I started, yeah.
And because you mentioned you've been like a few years back with the previous one, how do you feel that this role changed from what it was like 10 years now versus what is it these days?
I don't. The role has changed.
Or did it not?
Well, no, like the role has changed because it's becoming even more technical. I mean, I think tech writers are expected to know even more technical things, especially APIs, because I mean they're not new, but as far as like our role, it's probably been 10 years, it feels like, or less. But I think the biggest change is that more people are understanding what we do and how important it is. So it's not quite as hard to justify having a tech writer on your team or whatever it is you're producing.
Yes, true. It made me think that literally when I was back in Cluj, we literally had with Women in Tech Cluj a session on tech writing, and it was so new for people to learn about the role. That made me think how much the need and to talk about these roles more, especially in the upcoming people in our field, like students or those that convert. And let's see, Brad, was it for you the first role that you embraced in tech, or you also have a dark background? I'm kidding, not dark,
No,
but
my first job out of school was a tech writing position.
ooh,
It wasn't planned, so I wanted to be a front end developer, but I really was having kind of a tough time finding, that unicorn job that was looking for somebody to kind of learn. But he was looking for experience, and I had a friend of mine who had a family member that was a tech writer, and had asked if I had ever considered getting into it, and I didn't even know what it was. But I found some roles that were a little bit more plentiful. But yeah, I wanted it to be a springboard into development, and I did not realize how much I would end up loving it, and really own my craft in regards to documentation.
That's
it's
very
true.
interesting. So that's how I got to meet Joanna. I wanted to be an iOS developer way back when I wanted to be an iOS developer. And the HR lady that interviewed me for the iOS position, it was supposed to be like one of those paid internships or paid training experience. And then at the end of it, you might get a job. And the HR lady said, actually, you know what? We have a tester position available, full employment, with a little bit more money. How would you feel about that? I was like, well, it's more money. Yes, I will. I regretfully accept to be a software tester. I obviously wanted to be a developer. I was like, I'll be a software tester for a little while, and then I'll move into development. I was a software tester for about 5 months before I made my transition. But the first day on the job, I met Joanna. And now I'm thinking I want to be a developer again. No, nothing to do with Joanna. Nothing to do with Joanna. But that's how I met. That's how I met Joanna accidentally.
Yeah, it makes me think that exactly sometimes these roles that are not that popular just appear. If you have to just have the the confidence and also the bit of risk. Like, let me try it. How can it be that far? Because you really wanted to be a iOS developer, and I remember the course, and people did go there. When I moved to the company that Alex mentioned, I had a split role between both QA and development, and they were offering the same, a full testing one, that it was better than the development, and I forgot. And also doing C++, like back then, like I was crazy. What was in my mind to be a developer on that side? It was not even fun as iOS. And after that, I switched to coding again back on the web, but I was on mobile. So it's nice to embrace this kind of challenge. And when you chose to come to Interledger, was that a big change? How was the transition? How did you
It was
encounter
good.
us?
It was a good transition. I had recently, or was coming towards the end of a contract engagement with a bank here in the United States, and so just kind of like moving from something that was finance and banking related to Interledger felt like a good, just kind of a good move.
That's good. That's good. It was recorded, Alex, just so you know. We can brag about this.
Well,
And
I've heard this during the interview process. I think
oh yes,
me and Melissa heard this at the end of our interview process, and we're very happy and proud.
can we say if he got more points because he came for banks and already had the fintech side, that he knew understood all the terms? And what was the state of the docs when you joined? Do you think like it was enough for onboarding, or was, oh, there's plenty of work, so it's good? That's also good.
I think it was a healthy mix of both. I mean, part of the
Yes.
interview process is, obviously me trying to get a job, but the other half of it is kind of evaluating what I'm coming into, and meeting Melissa and meeting Alex and Mohammed and Max and so many others. Um,
Yeah.
you can just tell when it's a good place with good people. Um, and then the docs, there were multiple doc sites that kind of all worked together, and so just seeing the amount of organization that had already happened, but also realizing like if they're looking for another writer, there's some work to be done. So
Plenty. Plenty of work. But
That
that
was all Melissa, by the way. That was all Melissa, by the way. Because when Melissa showed up, we had something we inherited that Melissa used to work on, something we inherited what Melissa used to on, and everything else was a hint of an idea and a work in progress that was generated from somewhere. That was generated from somewhere, and that was all Melissa. Melissa got everything into the place where you found it, Brad, where it made you want to join us. I don't know how or why Melissa joined us. I'm actually very curious that we were very convincing, I think, very convincing. But she had a lot of work cut out for her. Thank you
Mhm.
for joining us, Melissa. Thank you for still being here all these years later.
well, let's see if we survive this chat also.
So
No,
But
no, I feel
I think
like
Alex, I think you just opened yourself up to something. I wasn't going to go there, but so I didn't know you while I was at Coil. I remember watching the 2022 summit. I think it was live streamed because you were the MC.
yes, I was the
oh, we find new
unwilling MC.
things.
I was the unwilling MC. I was the unwilling MC. Or MC dropped out last minute, and I showed up, and I was like, okay, I guess I could MC this conference, but it's gonna be my way. And
Was it summit
it
in
was
New
entertaining. It
Orleans?
was have I was very entertaining. I think I was very entertaining.
Do
what'd you think,
you
Melissa?
now?
I wish I
Okay,
had the links for the recording.
I'd like to repeat that I didn't know you at the time, and I watched you MC, and I didn't like you very much.
I think nobody in that room liked me very much because I only had one job to keep everybody on track because we were being kicked out of the hotel. We couldn't overrun by 15 minutes. Like the schedule was very important to me. So I kept having to tell people to move, to get back, to get off my stage. And it nobody liked me. I wasn't very popular.
It It's funny, really. Now I don't want to talk more about like MC. Maybe we do an episode about it. But it's funny how people hate the MC because they are like cutting, but at the same time we're just trying to keep you on track, and everyone's like, "Oh, I only have 2 minutes. I prepare 10 more minutes of content," and you're like, "No." Yeah. Tell us more, Melissa. So you didn't like Alex.
So we got word that Coil was going to wind down, and I knew that there was a tech writing position opened at ILF. It had been open for a while. And I was very apprehensive to apply because I was afraid of working with Alex. Um, but then Sabine put me at ease.
Ah,
I trust her.
yes.
So then
Yes,
at that point,
100%.
yeah.
Big shout out to Sabine. She's out in maternity leave, but we truly miss her. If you see this, we are missing you. Yeah, she saved the day. For many people, I think Sabine was the one that said, "Okay, Sabine at Interledger, make it a bit more sane that only
That's
Alex on
very, very
Interledger."
interesting. That's very, very interesting. There's only two people in this organization I'm truly afraid of. It's not Brianna, it's not anyone with a C title. It's Erika and Sabine. Both of them are the sweetest, cutest human beings on the planet until they're not. Until they're not. So that it's very interesting that Sabine put you at ease because she's the one I'm most afraid of around here. I mean,
No,
blink twice if she forced you into it. If she forced you to like it working here, it's okay. She's in maternity leave. I spoke with her today, and her and the babies are doing fine. But
good.
maybe she's not watching. We don't know. Even if she is watching, she's only coming back at the end of the year. Blink twice if you were in danger.
I don't believe this. Don't be mean. But it's okay. So Sabine brought you here. Thank God we have good start for the team. Anything else there to add? Any more spiciness from the story?
No,
Or
no,
how
I
was
just
when you first meet with Alex? It was like, no, dude, no, leave me alone. No.
did I meet with? No, I think I met with Mohammed first, actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, yes. We
But
had
yeah,
that
by
time
the time
first.
we spoke, like it was clear that he is not the person he is when he MCs.
Different
The MC.
personalities there.
No, the MC is a show. The MC is a show. emceeing was a show and was a certain persona that had to come out there to make everything run on track. That's why I didn't like that persona. I didn't like the the thing that was happening. That's why the summit after that 2023, I did not MC the summit. We made pretty darn sure the MC was gonna show up. It was touch and go there for a second because the couple of days before they had a flight problem and they got there just the night before, the evening before. But I was by that time, because in 2022 we were a very small organization, a very small organization. There was nobody else to do the job. By 2023 in Costa Rica, we had plenty of people to be an MC, if things failed. Joanna being
Mhm.
one of those people. We had Joanna to MC the hackathon. We had Joanna to MC the hackathon as a volunteer from the community, as one of our facilitators, and she liked us so much she decided to join us later.
After a few months. But that's what I want to say, Melissa, because at the next summit, I joined as a speaker and I helped with the hackathon, but I didn't see Alex as a MC. So I was, oh, same company, I'll join them later. So I was, thank God I was not Alex the MC because I could have scared myself too. So yeah. But how you feel this role is now at Interledger? Like, is it in perspective like crucial part? Because I would say it's crucial. Do you agree with that? Or
Yeah, definitely. And Brad, if you have anything, we can kind of like tag team this question, but we do a lot more than just write, and a lot of it is like content collection and curation. We kind of have our fingers in all of the things. Our engineers work on so many different things, and we kind of help bring all of that together. There's a lot of overlap with the technology, so there's a lot of overlap with the docs, and we have a lot of different audiences, and it's quite complex trying to bring it all together, rearrange it, and then put it back out for whoever our specific audience is that we're writing for.
I'm very
Do you
curious. So
feel? Go.
the audiences we have are not only technical, even though the roles are technical writing, the audience we actually have, some of it is technical and some of it is not very technical, or in a part of in a different part of the professional stream where they're not employees, they're public servants. They work for central banks, or they run central banks, or they are part of government. How is it writing for such diverse and different audiences?
I think it's complicated. I know that there's a lot of places where our doc falls short for the less technical audience, and so I think working with Sarah, and she's making these one-pagers that will be all published somewhere eventually. We're working with an instructional design team. Like I think being able to use all the other resources that we have will help us. It's like we don't know where to put that doc yet, but we know that it's needed. And yeah, we also need more external resources to talk to, because right now a lot of it is either guessing what they might need or taking information from like Ioana and Alex and whomever, instead of actually going directly to a source.
Be careful what you wish for, because I mean, one point down on my agenda was to ask how people contribute and community can help, but we'll tackle that. I wanted to ask Brad if he felt his knowledge previously from banking system help here with terminology, or it was a big shift between having more tech, like the API, the protocol, and everything in between.
I think from just like an industry level, I think terminology is pretty consistent, and some of the payment rails and ideas behind that, you know, s- were the same. From a technology standpoint, similar stacks, similar kind of the way things are working is about the same. So there wasn't a much of a jump there. I think it's more of, when you say Interledger, that can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, and various pieces of technology, kind of how those work together. And so I think that's probably the biggest learning curve or hurdle to kind of overcome, is like understanding what Interledger means, whether it's the protocol or the foundation, and then kind of the ancillary pieces that work with that.
That's true. That's true, helpful. I feel like thinking of the audiences, it's such a shift, because we do that on the engineering side, literally how to make this. Do we make it techie? Do we make it for the bank people? Do we make it for the governments that we work with? So it's always always putting in the balance all the little things, trying to cover more. Do you think this is writing the specs is some part that helps the grow and the adoption of the all the technologies we have here, the open source projects, because most of them are open source and public. And I know you try to cover almost all of them. You are three in the team. For sure, you're not doing all of them at the same time. But did you feel like the growth coming with both the tech product, and the tech writing? Or is more like waiting for the product to be outish a bit, and after that coming to help to be adopted more? Tough
I,
one,
I
huh?
I think the way that we work now, it works, but it's not ideal, which is, something is developed and released and then we write about it. In a perfect world, we would be writing and then releasing the doc at the same time as whatever's being pushed out. I don't think we're too far behind, but it's, still, it's not really the best way to do it. But as far as supporting adoption and growth, and it's not unique to open source or even ILF, but like the more docs we have, the more comprehensive they are and accurate and clear, it just makes it that much easier for our community to understand the tech, use the tech, build on top of the tech. So that's what we're trying to get to.
Yeah. And what are the unique challenges that you get to face when you're talking? Because the docs cover from the Interledger protocol to web monetization to money literally being sent out. And maybe we even tackle that our protocol literally matches the TCP IP, which is truly tech. Which one do you think brings more challenges for tech writing team?
Brad, it looked like you were going to say something before. I don't know if you want to.
Well,
He's like, do we tell them or
Just
do
like
we
an
keep
out.
the secrets for ourselves?
I think a lot of these questions are interrelated. And so when I think about
Oh,
like, why is it important? Um, it has to do a lot with the adoption of this. And, it's complicated. And I think the hard part here is like, if it wasn't complicated, somebody would have done this already. We wouldn't be stuck in these, 100, 200-year-old kind of like legacy banking systems and the way things have always been. Because if if it's not broke, we're not going to fix it. But it is broke, and there's things that we need to be doing. And so that's the challenge, is to make it approachable, make it something that's interesting and something that somebody wants to build with or build on, um, but not scare them away with, the complexity, because it is complex. But that's what we're here for, to make it approachable, make it seem like something that we can dig into, make it feel like they can use it, make the business or technical decision makers feel like it's a good move in that direction. So hitting all those audiences, making sure the docs are in the right place. When somebody's looking for this, that's where they go to find it. Um, yeah, there's a few things to keep in mind.
yeah. Do you think like people have preferences of like, oh, the dog should be like this, and they are literally communicating that, or more people appreciate, okay, I understand? Because I feel like in tech it's a bit trendy for us, so they will always complain, why is not a ping button here or stuff like. Users are nice, don't listen to me.
Oh, that's another question. It's like, I don't know. You could open up Pandora's box on that one. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody knows what works for themselves, and so how do you try and find something that's kind of in the middle that
Uh, but
everyone.
do you structure it from scratch in our way, or there are like best practices in the field that everyone kind of adopts? Or maybe it's a good point to say how you organize the team, because we might know, but the audience doesn't.
Yeah. So the three of us come together, the Mohammed and Brad and I, we come together and we look at what we have and we look at what we know is needed. And there's, so tech writing isn't just writing, there's information architecture and everything else. So we try and figure out what something should look like. Now we've been working on a much larger scale. So like the Rafiki doc, not a section in the doc, but like the whole thing. How do we organize that? And there's best practices around like styles and long words versus short words and stuff like that. And so I think we do a good job at following that. But I found in the various tech writing roles I've had that if you try and stick too much to certain practices, not standards, but practices, you do more harm than good because you're trying to fit everything into a very small box, and it doesn't work that way. Like it doesn't. I remember when it was you want multiple pages with small chunks of information, and now it seems like it's turning towards we want everything on one page. We're cool with scrolling. Scrolling used to be bad. Now it's okay. So things
They
like that.
probably ask this day for TikToks, no? Like, do you have a TikTok on this or a dance on TikTok? I'm kidding. I'm really
Not for
kidding.
me.
People like, yes. Would be something to see Melissa doing some kind of we dogs.
Voguing for the docs, yes. But yeah, like so we have a lot of internal processes and things that we do, a lot of communication in the team. But there's not too much that we're like, step by step. We have to follow this pattern every single time because it's too restrictive.
I would add to
Brad,
that
do you agree?
something
Blink
something
twice if not.
something Melissa we had talked about the other day is just, the more people you add, the more voices and things like that. But I feel like Melissa, myself, and Mohammed have a similar voice and tone, and you can't really pick out, hey, this was written by three different people. So that's kind of a neat thing. Um, I would also say with like best practices, like it's probably the same way in a lot of disciplines, but like you have to know them before you're allowed to break the rules. Um, and now that we have a pretty solid grasp on these concepts, that we can take a little bit of liberties if something isn't working quite like we wanted to. Um, so best practices are great, but yeah, it's more of like figuring out what works for us and the readers especially.
But that's a cool one that you brought up because I kind of forgot that you have to literally adhere to a tone and maybe even towards the Interledger Foundation tone. Do we have such thing? Now I'm asking for a friend. Do we have a
And
set
we
of
do
things that?
actually, we actually have a tone. We actually have a tone. I feel like that was one of my concerns when we started increasing the size of the team, because in a different lifetime, I used to be part of a very big advocacy team, about 40 people, and that was one of the things we struggled with, cleaning up the tone, like toning down everything. And we used to all 40 of us wrote at a certain point, either docs or blog posts or whatever. And then we had two people who were kind of the guardians of tone. And everything we wrote went through that process of toning everything down to have the same voice. It's I'm very happy to hear that everybody kind of writes in the same voice, and we have three people who write in the intelligent voice.
Next time we do a challenge. Guess who wrote this page? See if I can
I can
know.
actually identify our authors from the
No, I
blog,
don't believe that.
From the
from the
I mean,
blog.
blog.
don't look at if
No,
you
no,
if you
no, no,
check.
no, not from the docs, not from the docs. Docs have like the docs have a single personality throughout. But if you wanna, like, if you're a tech writing nerd and you wanna see the difference, go look at the docs and go look at two different blog posts that we wrote. One written by
Yes,
Sarah and one written by Huijing. I think Huijing has a lot of personality when she writes. Go see the
yes,
difference in those things, and you'll see that the docs all look the same, but the same voice isn't present in our blog post, and that's because we
yes,
allow people to
yes,
express personality in the blog post. That those are written usually by one or two individuals that collaborate on those,
yeah,
and it's their voice and their personality that shines through the blog posts. Where in terms of the docs, I strongly believe docs should have no personality.
yes. No, no,
Docs should
truly,
be,
truly. But
yeah.
maybe they put, they hide. They do this kind of Easter bunnies, Easter eggs. They're hidden. That press this and twice. Oh my God, we should do that.
If you see a
More
Well,
work.
semicolon, that was me.
For example, in my case, if I would write, I would have strongly hard time to put only one dot or three dots, which is the regular for, and I don't understand why we skip on two dots. Why is that wrong? It's not used in grammar. It's like, why would I put three and stuff like this? I was like, this is my egg, Easter egg there. If you find the two, it's always Joanna, just so you know.
I sincerely hope there is no more line of text written by me in the docs, because
Mm,
when I contributed to the docs, when I wrote the docs, toning down my voice was not a priority for me. Getting things out into the world mattered a lot more. So I feel like maybe no, the Rafiki docs definitely had personality, because those were written by engineers, entirely by engineers, and it was just, I think we had like six of the engineers co-authoring the docs, all of which with different personalities, and I, being the human that I am, passed that on to Melissa to make them sound the same, sound the same. I think that was one of the very first things I told Melissa we needed help with, that the
yeah,
webmization. You
so
can
very
you can truly
thankful
see the
that you
difference.
very thankful that you joined in Save the Day because the dogs with that tone.
No,
Mm.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. When both of you agreed to join, I was the happiest human on earth. Whenever we make an offer, it's because we want those people to work with us. So whenever people say yes, we're very happy that
I
they
mean,
chose
that
to join
is
us.
true,
I'm
true.
still happy. I'm still happy you chose to stay here after you saw how much work there was. How much work there was. I'm still happy you chose to be part of the mission and help us deliver the Interledger. Thank you.
Very big thank you. Should we then even see these docs? We are to keep talking? Who wants to demo it? Who wants to share the screen for them? And maybe even now tackle the personality or how people could literally help on different types of contribution. I wanted to say like that we welcome, and after I was like, if you welcome contributions, if not, say, stay away from this. Don't press this button.
Yeah, I mean, we can demo the docs, but I don't really know how well that
Let's
would work
offer.
in a live thing. But if we provide the links for it, but like as far as
Yes, also.
contributions, so I will say we have an item on our roadmap. I don't know when we're going to get to it, but it's to try and figure out a way to start collecting feedback through the docs
Mm.
themselves. So, a form that you can fill out or whatever. But right now, a lot of the feedback we get is either in person or over Slack or third party. Somebody tells somebody and then they tell us. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so what we really need to do is figure out and um, one of the other Ericas brought this up, and it is a good idea. Like we need to figure out a way for people to help with the docs, help contribute. That's not just through GitHub, because you can go to GitHub. It's open. You can submit a request. We'll review it. We might edit it some. But if it works, if it's appropriate, then we can add it to the docs. But like, not everyone is comfortable with GitHub, and so how do they let us know
Contribute.
what they'd like to see?
Mm.
And that's something that we haven't figured out yet, but we're going to.
I
I
mean,
feel like
jokes
Sarah
as
has her work cut out for her
I
to
haven't
build
told her
some
yet.
sort of
Mhm.
editing into the docs. We shouldn't tell Sarah yet.
Don't tell Sarah.
but really, because I mean, this is also very opinionated. Everyone goes in their lifetime through some docs, and especially when you need support and you go through those docs, not everything is tech writing. I understand, so I don't confuse support documentation with tech. But some pages have those thumbs up, thumbs down, and I'm like, how many people really take the chance to do it, or they do it fairly? Also, working with an open community is what shows me that the most vocal, they are always the not happy kind of users, because they will get, no, I want you to know that I'm struggling with your product, while the others happy, oh, I enjoy it, why bother
Yeah,
saying,
like
sending
thumbs,
feedback,
thumbs down might make you feel good, but it doesn't help us. We don't
yeah, yeah,
know what
exactly.
you don't like, so we can't fix anything.
No, just the thumbs down is bigger buttons. I like this button. I like this is my emoji. I will like share this because we are checking about the open payments, for example, and I think it's pretty mature documentation, right? Or it's still in
Mhm.
yeah. So in the open payments, literally when you enter, I saw that we have this open the documentation specific. Maybe I'll even share it, and the contributions to GitHub. Would all our documents in the end have this page, like this kind of splitting in the GitHub versus page?
Ideally,
Yeah.
yeah, ideally, and that's really something that we should work with you, because you've been tasked with making our get involved steps a bit easier. I think, is that right, Alex?
Mm.
Is that Joanna's?
Oh, it
Obviously,
opened
it's
up.
Jonas. It's Jonas' responsibility.
And that's why I regret this kind of talks. You know what he does? Like in the December one, everyone was making cookies, preparing, decorating for Christmas, and midway he was like, "Oh, we should do this. Do you wanna work on it?" No, what could I say on live stream to people? Like, no, I don't want to work. I want to go ski.
Joanna, I recognize that you are a victim of your own success and competency, and I whenever Joanna comes up with an idea and says we should do this, I usually go, yeah, that's a great idea, Joanna, go do it. Joanna has stopped bringing up new ideas, but she's been doing this for so long that whenever some other people have a new idea, they go, I think this is something for Joanna, right? Of course, it's something for Joanna. I actually wanted to ask you something about the December stream while we share the screen. The December stream, we made you do an extra stream in December, and we voted with our wallets. How generous was Santa Claus this year, Joanna?
It's good.
It's good.
You can still send me money. So for the record, I know that people really voted for an extra season episode, not season. But we made even big thank you to Madalena. She helped us create a generic one, but it was literally so close to Christmas that Santa was like, if I'm not joining, there's no present. So we couldn't make Santa join. So yeah, we had to skip it. But this is my promise. The next time we want an extra episode, we will do it. Especially, we will try to make like one per month. So the extras will be extras when we'll be maybe together in a place to a work week or something. Or also, by the way, it's a good point to ask the community what other topics would you like to have on the of the pen of the ledger. Uh, Reminder, these are episodes about the technology and Interledger, especially with the engineering teams, but everything related to tech and engineering at Interledger could fit this off the record episode of the ledgers. And yeah, so this is the, I saw Sabine's picture here in the contributors. And this is the where people would literally add their PRs or suggestions and anything. And this is what a regular user would see and go over this. How many times you had to change the types on the left column, the section?
Actually, before we do that, could we zoom a bit in? I feel like I'm on a small screen, and some other people on a small screen might have some issues seeing this. Oh, that's perfect. So look at that. We have responsive design. We have a responsive design. That's Sarah and Huijing. That's Sarah and Huijing.
More shout outs to them, yes. So are you like generally asking for the audience? Because I might know the answer. I know Alex pushes this a lot. Do we change this display often, or this is more like how we do the sections, how we do tech writing at Interledger? And do we cover more than one user type, or we try to write for everyone, or do we have different parts of the documentation in different terminologies?
So ideally, this wouldn't change much. Maybe new pieces would be added, but the pieces that are there wouldn't change. And I think that the open payment specifically is pretty solid. But when I started, and when Mohammed got more involved and Brad started, it's like we realized that there were some things, the way that they were laid out just didn't make sense anymore. And so it did have to change. And the problem with that is people's links would break because we've changed file names. We did have a couple places where someone had volunteered to translate a page or two for us. And then because of all the changes, the content changed. And now their translation isn't, it's correct, but it doesn't match what we have now. So we'll have to start over with that kind of thing. But yeah, in an ideal world, this would only be added to, maybe deprecated things would be marked and then removed. And I think open payments is pretty solid. And I think at this point, Rafiki is too. Web monetization will change, hopefully within the next month.
Hopefully.
So Rafiki,
go ahead.
open payments is an API that has been stable for a while, hence the documentation was stable. Rafiki, on the other hand, has had major new features added to it that changed scope and shifted everything. So the Rafiki documentation, I think, yet another funny story of working with Alex. You were last year in August, you were in the middle of an information architecture change for Rafiki, and we all met in Romania, and we sat down at the kitchen table in the office, and I can tell everyone, and I bet my life you hated it. You hated me a little more because in the middle of that information architecture review that we were doing, ideas emerged, priorities shifted, scope got enhanced. I'm not saying I did it, but we all know I did it. I did it, and that was a lot of work. That was a lot of work. That was a lot of work. And sometimes these things happen. We figure out there is a better way of doing it, or that's a different way of doing it that makes it easier for our users, while it is very uncomfortable for all of us and it means a lot more work for us. But in the sense of developer experience, it greatly improves the developer experience, and then people will hate each other, but will still do it because it improves our developer experience. Because at the end of the day, we want to get people using that technology as fast as possible, and that's why we have docs.
Yeah. First day of the work week, first morning of the work week. I've been planning for this week. Then it just all changed and it was fine. We worked through it and everything was great.
Yeah, it was fine. Fine.
fine.
This is fine. It's fine. I'm glad your chair was not on fire, Alex, after this, and you're still alive and safe. Yeah. So I did open up the documentation. I mean, not the documentation, the page, and now I'll open the documentation for Rafiki, which I also wanted to show that I really love this schema on open. Who chooses the colors, by the way? This is a very important question. Who chooses the color for documentation?
HJ chose that, and there was a method behind her madness, and sadly I can't remember what it is specifically, but certain colors meant certain things. I think we have it in our we have it written down internally somewhere.
Yeah.
But because Starlight, the static site generator we use, you go in, you set the theme, and then it just, it's applied everywhere. So she went in and did all the styling for that, for the different sites we have.
Nice.
Huijing actually has a design system in place for these documentation websites that she worked on, and the colors are based on the Interledger brand guidelines and the brand colors. I think there's a section of the website somewhere on interledger.org where you can find out more about the Interledger brand, and that's based off of the Interledger brand. I think she actually helped develop the Interledger brand with Anna and Madalena in the comms team. Or the reason why we have a brand is because we needed to have multiple documentation websites with a similar look and feel, but still be different. I think when Melissa joined, that was not the case. We had 3 documentation websites with 3 completely different fields. You couldn't figure out the team at Interledger had anything to do with all of these things because they weren't really following the Interledger brand.
Yeah, true. But this is an Easter egg for our audience. Whenever you see that the thumbnails that we create for events and everything is green, that does mean that it's from the engineering team, and that's one of the guidelines. And I like it because green is my favorite color, so can't complain. I think they chose it for me. But yeah, we try to have these not rules, honestly, recommendations to keep the colors. And for dogs, for sure, they change a bit more. I was wanting to share a bit, like Melissa said, web monetization is not at the stage to be mature, especially because we work so much on there. And web monetization is our, biggest project that we have externally with both the W3C, both with community and both with browsers. So that's why the page is not as clean as the other ones and has way more information there. But the documentation will be following the skeleton that we want to. And because I think in our audience, they mentioned, when I asked here to engage with the audience that what's their favorite documentation from our side, they mentioned the screenshots and videos. We do have screenshots, so big. Do you always create new profiles for the screenshots, or sometimes you use your name? And we have Alice and Bob, I think, in many of the web monetization documentation. Do we keep these personas in the other ones too?
We don't use our names because you're not supposed to know that we exist. But we use the common Alice, Bob, whatever. It would be nice to use like things from TV shows and such, but then that can become problematic.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, because some probably will have some kind of rights, but it also brings, I think, the flair of jokes. This is my style of. If you see an article written by me, will be two bad jokes, two, three references to different stuff, because I like the storytelling of it, which should not happen in docs. People here are here to learn something, not to, that's a funny one. I like the show, defocus that. Yeah. Any other one that you want me to showcase or open? Do we have more? Well, I don't know. I think we're good.
We,
But
I mean, the organization also owns
for the
paymentpointers.org, but
protocol, yeah.
we need to do a lot on that, like a whole lot on that. It doesn't really meet the look, the writing style, even the information on that page needs to be updated. So
Do we have tickets for this? Should I add now a ticket in the?
it's in our strategy doc.
And
It's fine.
and Brett is
I
like,
want, I
yeah, they
want,
came here to
we have
have
it on
fun
the
and they put
record.
more work.
We have it on
Yeah.
the record. I didn't ask for tickets on this one. I didn't ask for tickets. Maybe this
That's
is
because that's why you
maybe
have
this is
engineer
maybe this is
managers.
yeah maybe this is Stockholm syndrome. Maybe why this is Stockholm syndrome. And you got to the point where you ask for tickets yourself.
No, why leave for them to? Ivana, do you want to document this talk? I was like, no, no. Oh, good. So I was checking now to see if we have another one, because just so you know, I do check on the other screen, but I'm here present, don't worry. And I think I do want to share, and you'll tell me if it's outdated or not, the Interledger protocol. And I like this one. Look how nice these icons are. Who makes the icons? These are the important things. Do we make them? Or
The
we have
first
a
ones
set
there
like
were, I don't know who made those. Those have always been there.
they give me the
This
template.
is this is something we've stewarded for a long time. Long time. I actually know who made them. Fabi made them. Fabi is one of the people who used to work at Coil. And Fabi made those.
Okay. That's why they're
Probably,
so pretty.
yeah, probably 6 years ago, probably a bit more.
Mhm.
I feel like we've inherited some of that style into some of the icons we use today. And instead of refreshing these, we're keeping them all these good goldies to blast from the past.
And it does
I
drive
mean,
me a bit crazy that our images don't switch between light and dark mode, but I feel like it's not like the image is there at least. It's important, but it's not as important as some of the other things we want to do. So we'll get there.
I mean,
I mean,
make an issue for Sarah. Make an issue for Sarah. This is now something browsers support. We could update our images to do that. And
we
I
just
feel like this
probably
is a
need
pet peeve for me because most
vector.
of the websites on the internet don't. And that's this JavaScript way of doing it, obviously. And now when I browse the internet at night on my iPhone, I see negative images. See negative images because they
Oh,
don't have a dark mode, and I see discolored images, and I have to kind of figure out what I'm looking at.
but this is the best. I'm truly early adopter of dark themes everywhere, including in my browser or my phone, and in the browser, not browser, sorry, in the Gmail or email, because I use that. We're not sponsored. I get emails with either, like you said, negative images or with totally black images because they never thought that someone will open with a dark theme and you barely see anything. I'm like, what is with this email? And again, no one from the company or this entity literally checked that email before sending it. Like, oh, there are two types of people, dark or white. Nah, don't bother. But
I hate
I
to
I
admit,
take this on
Fiona.
me because I showed it. I saw this, but I was like, it's fine. It's a work in progress. We still want to have something to work tomorrow. We don't have to fix everything, and after that, we don't have any more people around. No, I'm joking. Yes, Alex, go ahead.
I am the new iPhones have this new mode called adaptive, where your light mode during the day and your dark mode during the evening, and so you have both in at the same time. And this works on light sensor. So if you turn on the light in the evening, for example, you suddenly switch the light mode in the middle of scrolling. No website handles that very well. At load time, they handle that okay. When you load the page, they kind of know what type of mode you have. Switching in the middle of browsing around, I feel like all of these edge cases, I would wish we could accommodate all of this. I highly doubt that's going to happen. Even if we make issues for Sarah and Luigi, I highly doubt they're going to get them.
No, I mean, we also work with priorities and we also work, with scope in mind, so will be a low priority. Or maybe, side project community, if they want to contribute, this is a chance. We already explained the ticket. It's a good, will be welcome. And hopefully, Elisa will accept it, or Brad, who will review, is like, I don't like the color. Oh, and just to read from the comments that we got in our video streams is that people do appreciate the icons and graphing being important, and people scan it for the schemes. I do that too. If I skip a bit the text, sorry. And first I look at the image, and after it, if I'm not clear more, it's like I'm a design person, seeing visual person. And the negative images seems that everyone has a good laugh with them and the works. And we did get a new proposal for Off the Ledger. Very productive session today. I like it. Want me to open anything, or we call it almost a day? Because we give everyone to work besides us, and after that we can go and enjoy our day. Oh, we can have Melissa and Brad will have a second coffee for the day, so it's still early. And I still have light in Berlin. I'm very impressed by this hour. Spring is coming, people. Good. Any other thing, Alex, you want to showcase or complain about?
No, I just want to thank our tech writing team for making life easier for everyone around. I wanted here on stream with hundreds of witnesses to commit to not shifting priorities on them in the middle of a work week. But seeing as how we're organizing 3 more work weeks this year, I am only human and I will never promise this. What I can promise is I will always apologize for it later. I will understand that priorities shift because reasons, and I'm one of them. And I will
This is
caffeinate
sorry to
everyone.
interrupt you, Alex, but this will be the extra egg, Easter egg. I keep saying these words, maybe not familiar to the audience, but the surprise episode will be with everyone giving testimonials of how many times Alex changed the priority in the mid of the work, and it will have like a never-ending stream, till next year.
I think we've said in one of the early streams we are very opportunistic here at the Interledger Foundation. So if one of our partners or our grantees gives us a good opportunity, we'll take advantage of it. If the
Yeah.
universe delivers, we'll take advantage of it. And that means sometimes in the middle of the work we have a better idea. Sometimes,
Oh, for
not
sure.
all
And
the
that means
time.
that sometimes we'll start working on something and we end up having cards, which is even 10 times better because that came
Yeah,
also
see,
from that
that's one
same
of
work week.
those.
I didn't get a card. I'm very upset.
Oh, oh, because you
Yeah,
couldn't.
yeah.
A little birdie told me there is gonna be a way to
Redeem?
order cards and get them delivered in March, but that little birdie also promised me weaponization for my birthday, and I mistakenly thought that they was talking about last year's birthday
Last
because it
year's.
was just before my birthday when he said that. I didn't think he was talking about 2025 birthday. So I I mistakenly this time did not ask which March. I just assumed it was gonna be March 2025, and we're gonna hold him to it. But yes, the that little birdie told me we could order new cards in March.
Woo! A new episode then?
A new cards
Yeah, that
episode.
was, yeah. Well, for sure, we'll have a follow-up after we, implement more. And we also gonna do another episode on web monetization, episode series of discussion when we have advanced in the development of things. And somewhere in the second part of the year, maybe we talk about the other type of documentation. And by then, Melissa or Brad will be like also TikTok dancers over there. Who knows? Who knows, Brad?
You're joking about TikTok dancers, but me and Melissa are very familiar with TikTok influencers and YouTube influencers. And
Ooh.
Coil used to have a media arm, and
Okay.
they sponsored and they granted influencers, content creators, which I think if you go on YouTube, you can still see some of them.
I think
You
so.
still
No.
see some of them.
See, I'm new. I'm new.
They had a dedicated person to creating TikTok videos. I think we might put that on the to-do list, Joanna. Appeal to the younger generations.
Yeah, I have a 2 3 jokes, but they are a bit political, so I'm not gonna go into that because for me are jokes, but maybe sensitive to people without of that. But I didn't know, just context for whoever. I didn't know about that. I just think it's funny how, I mean, funny and sad, but let's be positive, optimistic how our attention span literally reduces, or people are not being able to focus on reading a document and they expect everything to work like this. I'm not gonna add a ticket to do dances, neither videos, so don't worry about it. But we're gonna have this kind of discussion when people can go over. I mean, when we talk about open payments, we will explain how it goes. So if docs and they want to listen, docs are not their flavor of medium to consume, but they want to listen to people. They will have us. We already had a bit of intro to web monetization, slightly bit to Rafikim with Sabine. So that's why we do these kind of discussions to show how welcoming we are on questions about our projects and showcase them. And Alex, you got in one of the comments, you got a promise that something will be delivered before your birthdays. This will be the trend when we push products out before some or any of Alex's birthdays. Okay, I think we'll call it a day with this. Thanks so much for joining for me. And I think hopefully it was not awkward, but I was very curious about how the team works behind, this kind of small decision, especially to share it with our audience. I love our docs. To be honest, for me, are really cool. I like the consistency of them, the voice. Now maybe I'll do check from now on for some Easter eggs there. Please leave something for people. We can do a challenge inside. I mean, you saw me, we had an all hands, and out of nowhere I came first in our Kahoot game because I was still there first and everyone was like, where did... So I am up for challenges and games around. And for those at home or those watching us, do let us know what we should talk next. We might have it settled. It will be in, I think, around second week of February. But if you do have a proposal for us what to chat, or then open to tackle, we still have a bit of list, so don't worry. We are not going anywhere. Off the Ledger will continue in 2025. Thanks so much, Melissa, Brad, Alex, thanks for joining us. Still good there with putting more work on my shoulders. Strongly raising from that. And see you in the next chat.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.